Yeah, so we can go ahead and get started, man.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, great to have you. Great to can you see me okay on your screen and everything?
Yeah, it's working fine for me. Yeah, it's all good.
Cool, cool. Okay. So awesome. Great to meet you, man. My name's Lewis, by the way. What's your name?
Oh, yeah, my real name's Alistair, by the way. Yeah, no
Alistair.
problem.
And it's
Yeah.
Celestial Fury, right?
Yeah, that's like my kind of music artist name, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome, dude. Well, it's great to have you on the WLLF podcast.
Oh, thanks for
Um,
having me. It's really cool.
Man, it's excited. I'm really excited to talk to you. I swear, Midnas Lament. That's well. I think I love that yours is the second, and it's like I swear I almost get like a comment almost every other day telling me how much people love that remix that you did.
Oh, really? Damn, that's wild. Because like, I'm not even a. I would never call myself like an electronic music artist, I guess, because I'm primarily like metal based,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
um, but no, yeah, that's crazy. That's kind of the response that gets. It's really cool.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. I'm telling you. That's it's the crazy thing too, man. Because like I play guitar and I was metal for a long time, but it's like it's strange how. What are your thoughts on like being a metal artist, but it's like how does it feel to like tap into like lo-fi or synthwave? Like, is it refreshing? How does it feel to you?
I yeah, I'd say it is for me. It's really refreshing. Like I spent so long since I was like 14 maybe. I'm like I'm 27 now. Um, and since I was 14, I've basically listened to nothing but metal. Like starting with kind of like Opeth and stuff, and like the progressive metal, and then
Yeah.
getting really into like the low tuned kind of genty stuff that's about now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent years of my life listening to like pretty much just that, and then um, learning how to play it and learning how to kind of write music like that. Uh, so then to kind of just start experimenting with something completely different, and I had no idea how to make basically. Um, yeah, it's really fun and really I feel like in a way it makes writing the metal a bit more kind of interesting, because then you kind of learn the techniques that you'd use in electronic music, and you can be like, oh, that's actually cool. Would it sound cool if I put guitar with it or something? um, and you can kind of incorporate that stuff into the metal as well,
Yeah.
and then overall you're just kind of contributing to your whole sound as an artist in general.
Yeah, of course.
um, but yeah, it's definitely refreshing, because playing playing that kind of down tune metal, there's there's so much there's so much of it now, because like the most popular one of the most popular bands in that scene started off with a guy in his bedroom recording music by himself, and so like loads of people do that now, and loads of people can do it really well. So there's lots of kind of potential to start to sound the same as a lot of other people, so like
Yeah.
branching out and doing something totally different is really good. um, yeah, it's really refreshing basically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. Because I think it's just the one thing I was gonna ask you is like, do you think if you're, let's say, if the synthwave side of you kind of blows up a little bit, do you think you would ever separate the two personas?
See, that's a good question, and it's something I probably should do, because um, if I was building up a kind of reputation, I guess, what little reputation I have as a metal artist, and then suddenly decided to start putting out lots more electronic stuff, then that could be kind of alienating, I guess, for people that
Mm-hmm.
maybe just don't like that kind of music. Um, so I think it would be a good idea to kind of separate the two. Um, as much as I would love it if it did just work and I could just have one artist do both things, it probably wouldn't work in like kind of promotional senses, or um, like getting people who want to hear that kind of music to hear what I'm making electronically. I don't think it would work to have it on the same name as me, but all the stuff is on my YouTube channel anyway. So at the moment, it is under the same kind of umbrella of the Celestial Fury name. But
So you think you might, if it you might separate if one blows up more than the other, kind of.
yeah, I think so, because like I haven't made electronic stuff in a while, to be fair. Like I think the Midnas Lament one, it must have been like is it the second one I made? Because I think the first one I made was the Song of Healing from Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I love that one.
I think so. And that one's, I think that was the first time I tried to like make a kind of proper electronic, just like beat synthwavy track, because I got really into the Midnight.
Oh, I love the Midnight. Yes.
Yeah, I got just really into them and was like, I wonder if I could just try and make something that sounds remotely like that. I don't really know my way around synths or anything. And made that. And then, yeah, Zelda music is always going to be, in terms of video game music, it's pretty much my favorite music. Like, I've got so many metal covers of all the different soundtracks. And Midnas Lament is like one of my favorite pieces from just the entire franchise. Like, so yeah, doing that cover, I'm pretty sure that's the second one I ever did. And then the only other one I did a Song of Storms one as well. But if I was to go back to doing more electronic stuff, I think I would separate it, yeah. Because I've been focusing more recently, in like the past year or so, I've been doing just metal, or maybe some acoustic guitar stuff as well, but mainly kind of guitar based.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, from what I see, like in terms of actual comments from the video, because I think it's at like 500,000 views or something like that.
Yeah, it's a huge number of views now.
Yeah, it's huge, and I get so much love every single day from it, and I'm so grateful for that. And then and I talk with Switched on SNES, like the other gentleman, who's amazing. And it's crazy, man. We're all guitarists. It's really weird.
Yeah.
We're all guitarists, and he even I feel like the same thing happened to him, where it wasn't, he needed to separate his different things, and then once he did, it seemed like it was easier to blow up because the message was more clear. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of what I'm doing with several of my things. It's just kind of like, oh man, putting another thing, doing another thing, another iron in the fire, is kind of a little daunting. But as soon as I kind of changed my name to just Wubba Lubba Lo-Fi, because it used to be just a web design channel, with with like some slight with like a few lo-fi mixes, but then my lo-fi mixes blew up, and I was like, okay, I guess this is a lo-fi channel instead, So
yeah, you just kind of go where your like ideas at the time take you, don't you?
Yeah, totally. And there's this other guy, Seventh Sage, that have you ever heard of him?
I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you.
He's got like this JoJo's Bizarre Adventure lo-fi.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do.
Yeah, and he was actually a metal. He was like, it's almost the same thing as like his channel was mostly metal, and then he would just do a few of these like lo-fi songs just for fun.
Yeah.
And then those blew up like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then he's like, okay, well, I guess Seven Sage is now just kind of lo-fi, is kind of creating like a whole brand, a whole like lo-fi brand like that. So that's why I'm interested to hear what your vision is, you know.
Yeah. Like at the moment, I've got so many of the more guitar based stuff in the pipeline. Like I just released the end of November. I put on Spotify an album of my metal Zelda covers.
Nice.
Like, it's like the first half of a 2-part album, based on the Ocarina of Time music.
Yeah.
And I split it across like it kind of made sense in my head to have like one half of the album be the first half of the game, so like the songs you learn when you're child Link, so like Epona's song, Zelda's Lullaby, Song of Storms and stuff. And then the second album, the second half of that is coming out January, this coming January, and that's going to be like the second half of the game. So when you're adult Link, you've got like the warp songs like Serenade of Water, Requiem of Spirit, and all that. And that's the first full album of covers I put on Spotify, because the other stuff has been like original pieces, original guitar stuff.
Nice.
And so until now, basically, I've been in like full-time education at the same time. But that at the end of this year, I'll be kind of done with that, and I want to kind of give kind of self-employed musician route a go for like a while and see if it works out, basically.
Nice.
So in 2021, I've got like that Zelda album. There's another video game cover album that I've got kind of most of the stuff done for.
Very cool.
And some collaboration stuff as well. But that's all kind of guitar based. But then in the middle of that, there was like an idea for a sort of small electronic EP of original electronic music that I was going to try and put together, which I had this idea like 3 years ago, I think, or maybe two or 3 years ago, and just never had the time to implement it. But in this coming year, I might be able to put it together, and it will be kind of along the lines of like the Midnight if they were like instrumental, I guess, or C418, who did the Minecraft soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Because there's some Minecraft tracks that are quite, a lot of it's sort of piano, but then some of the other ones are kind of electronic. But he has a bunch of electronic originals as well, and they're kind of more lo-fi with a bit of like dubsteppy stuff. Yeah. So I kind of, going forward, I basically just want to release music like all the time. Like it's what I do. Like, I don't know, whenever I'm not studying or working in general, music is basically what I'm working on. Like I'm practicing guitar or coming up with some kind of synth like pad line or something just to mess around with. But
yeah, man, I was gonna say, as like, if those are your first 2 times like really trying on the synth covers, I mean, I'm like, that is immense talent, like out the gate, you know. So that's why I'm like, you know, I'm excited to see what you come up with, especially, you know, with your guitar stuff, and especially the original. I'll listen to it all, you know. And then and people and everyone can find you on Spotify, right? On under your name, Celestial Fury.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And did you say you just released an album? Or
Yeah, so I just dropped the first Zelda covers album. It was the 28th of November
sweet.
this year, and that, yeah.
That's
And then the
awesome.
next half of that is coming out in January.
Awesome. Awesome, man. All right. Well, I'll definitely listen. Yeah, because like I think it's so crazy how a lot of these like guys around our age, they're metalheads doing something else, and then all of a sudden we're like, well, we do, we've always played Zelda all of our lives, and we,
Yeah,
there's like a deep passion and love and nostalgia for it, and it's crazy that when you try it, it like automatically comes out as something very beautiful,
yeah,
like at a high level. That's why I saw as Midnas Lament and Song of Healing, both of them, because I believe I have both of them in the mix.
I think that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're both incredible. Like they're extremely emotional, and it's just crazy because I was like, man, where's more? I want like a whole thing.
yeah,
That's why I was like, I'm glad to hear you have the guitar stuff. I'm also super excited for the synth stuff because it just seems that it's just really weird how there's this crazy duality, you know, that when you just try something for the first time, especially with Zelda and like how passionate you are, that it comes out so well right out the gate, you know.
yeah. I mean, that's really kind because like I I genuinely had no idea what I was doing when it came to like when I sat down to do Song of Healing. I was like, I can't remember what idea I had. I was like, I want to just because the thing about those like early Zelda ones, like Song of Healing or Epona's Song or anything, they're all just like three notes that repeat like twice, say, and that's the whole song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always enjoyed like taking that and then adding just loads of stuff to it and seeing how basic like you said, like how emotional you can make it. I've always liked that about music because I listen to a lot of instrumental stuff, so obviously you have to get the emotion from the music itself rather than maybe focusing on the lyrics sometimes.
Yes.
um so like I think I because I'm at the time I still didn't really know how to properly mix the metal stuff I was doing, and I would consider myself an all right metal content producer, but in terms of the mixes, I didn't know what I was doing. No one's ever taught it to me. Since then, I now do have someone that's taught it to me. But the electronic stuff, I had no clue, and I didn't even know the term for like I didn't know what like parallel compression or sidechaining compression was. So to get the kind of the where the kick drum like determines how loud everything else was, like I didn't know how to do that.
Mm.
I just like kind of Googled it and was like, well, it looks like you do this and then put this synth there. And then that makes it whole, kind of gives you the kind of pulsing like
Yeah.
boom.
The boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Midna's Lament, right? The one that kind of gives you that pulsing
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that actually sounds pretty cool. And I'd kind of, it basically gave me more chance to experiment with the mixing production bit because like with that electronic stuff, for me at least, it is like all production. Because like with the guitar stuff, like I have to play the instrument and play the guitar and everything, but I can't play keyboard or piano or anything. um so the Song of Healing and Midnas Lament stuff is all done with MIDI stuff, like mixed various different ways.
Yeah.
So it's all purely learning how to do it digitally, which was totally new to me and really fun. And like like the kind of response it has been getting. Like I'll get comments on my old metal ones, like kind of once, like every so often, and it'll be someone enjoying it, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
But much more recently, the electronic ones are the ones that are getting the most comments, and people suggesting ones I should do next and stuff. And getting that kind of response is like, oh, maybe I should actually do that. Like, it would be quite fun.
Yeah, man. Because I was like, think about it this way. Because your song is, I believe, the second song in the whole mix. I'm trying to check.
Right, I think
I'm gonna check with Zelda Wave. I'm just checking real quick. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Because Switched On was first, but you're second. And that's why I was like, it was a really crazy 1-2 punch. It's like, because I love Switched On, and his whole album, that synthwave style album is incredible. It's
insane.
it's absolutely insane. And then I have you as like the the right hook kind of, and it's strange how like we've never it's like a nostalgia mixed with a certain type of emotion that only people have played the game will understand, and that's really hard to. That's why I was like, I love I love the opening, and I think the opening sequence. And where are you at right here? Yeah, I can just listen to this all day. I'm probably gonna make a 1-hour one if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, dear man. There's no qualms with me on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like 419,000 views, but you're the second song and the most, like, everybody, almost every other comment I see is about that freaking song. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what you come out with next. The other thing I was going to ask is, with that song specifically, Midnight, or I'm sorry, Midna, or Song of Healing, do you think of, did you just, like, in terms of like the chord progression in music theory, how did you apply music theory with the creation of the song?
Oh, okay. So my music theory knowledge is actually, it's pretty low. Like I did music in high school here, so I live in Scotland.
Yes,
and
awesome.
I did music up until I was 16 or 17. So I knew, from doing that, I knew like what chords go in what key and stuff like that. But I can't read music, and for like actually playing instruments, I'm like self-taught. And then the education I'm in, or just about to finish now, like I went to university to do chemistry degree.
Wow.
And I'm just about to finish my chemistry, like post my PhD, basically.
Wow. Oh my gosh, congratulations.
It's
incredible.
So like I basically learned how to play guitar and how to make music and stuff in purely like a practical sense, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really think that much about music theory when doing it. I kind of just mess about and see what sounds good to my ears. But then once you get further into the song, when I'm making it, it's like, well, I used that chord here, and I know that chord sounds good with this note, which means it'll probably sound good with this note as well. It's kind of how I think about it. So I know, like, because the Midnas Lament one is like, it's played on piano originally.
Did you play this? Did you play the piano on? I mean, obviously, I just don't know if it was like a sample or like if any of it is a sample, or if or you literally just did you just transpose every single instrument and then just redid it on your own, or
So all that is made with different VSTs, or VSTIs, sorry, in like, so I think the piano is like it's the one, at that time it would be the free one, like
so,
four front piano.
you played it though, you played those notes, right? No.
No, it's all writing it in like the MIDI map, kind of in my DAW. Um,
So like
it's
literally clicking and dragging the notes.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god, you didn't
Oh,
use like an Akai or anything, or like a MIDI
uh,
keyboard?
I don't have anything. Well, actually, now that I live where I do now, there is a MIDI keyboard there, but I can't. At that time, I didn't have one.
Really?
So what I actually wasn't clicking and dragging at that point. It was I have Guitar Pro 5.2. I don't know if you've ever used it. It's like a program where you can like download uh, tablature that people have written for popular songs, and then you can use it to learn those songs.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also write your own stuff in it. So I wrote that Midnas Lament. I wrote that in Guitar Pro using guitar tablature notation,
Whoa.
and then exported that as a MIDI and dropped it into my DAW and used. I think that's one of the stock. It might be one of the stock Reaper synths. It might be Rear Synth, or it might be Synth One. It's one of those two, and used that as the kind of instrument to play it. And so yeah, it's a really, I don't know. It's quite a ridiculous way to make music, I guess. But
That is such a crazy roundabout way to. I've never
yeah,
even heard of that. Of
yeah.
like you being able to do that. I didn't know you could export tablature in a MIDI form to put it into. What DAW do you use? Do you use Logic
I
or
I use a Reaper. The
Reaper?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
I haven't even heard of that one.
It's a pretty good one. It's one of the reasonably cheaper ones because they have like commercial license or non-commercial license and stuff. Um, but it's really good. Although soon I'm going to be switching to Studio One,
Okay.
because someone else that I work with uses that, and it'll be easier to share project files, um, since we're both using the same DAW that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
so whenever I'm making music, I write everything out. I make everything in Guitar Pro, like all the piano lines. I'll write out the guitar lines as well, so that I have them there to remember, and then to pick
Mhm.
drums too. You can write drums in that software as well. I'll do like string sections or whatever needs to be done. Export each one individually as a MIDI file, except the guitars because I play them. And then I have a bunch of VSTs and sample libraries and everything to play those MIDI files, basically.
That's
um,
awesome.
uh, yeah, I used to, when I was first starting out, before I got proper, like, kind of realistic sounding drums, I would, what did I do? It was totally stupid. It was like I would delete every track in Guitar Pro except the drums, and they'd be playing on my laptop, and I would route the laptop to my guitar amplifier, and then put a
Uh-huh.
microphone in front of that amplifier, and then just hit play on the laptop, and it would play the drums, and I'd record that back into the DAW that was on my laptop, and then record the guitars onto that. It sounded horrible because it was properly like
Oh
MIDI
my God.
drums in like a metal song, but it was, I don't know, it's one of the, when you first start out, you're just like, you just look at what you've got and you're like, well, I have to get that sound to here and back onto there. So
Exactly.
do it
You
this
do.
way, I
You got to
guess.
do what you got to do. You know,
Yeah.
dude. That's awesome, man. I don't. So my knowledge of DAWs are a little bit limited. My brother actually is. He's a sound engineer,
Oh yeah,
and
that's really cool.
yeah, he and I have a band. I have a band called Dream Drivers, and we're kind of like, we're just a rock band, psychedelic rock.
Nice.
Um, and he does all of um, all the engineering, all the producing for everything. So like my limited knowledge is just based off of only what he's taught me, only
Yeah.
what I know. And he uses Logic Pro,
Mm.
and um, that seems like a pretty good system. Uh, the other thing I want to ask you real quick. I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's great. I was gonna ask you, kind of stepping back a little bit, like, yeah, you live in Scotland. Have you ever visited the States?
I've been to the States twice. So when I was uh, when I was 7, um, my parents and my brother, we all went to Colorado for like 3 weeks.
Nice.
We stayed in like Boulder,
Oh yeah.
because my parents know some people in Denver, um, and yeah, that was like it was what 20 years ago now. But I remember really liking it. We stayed in like a proper ranch where you get uh like each family gets their own cabin and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Now it's like this is crazy because we don't have anything like that here.
Oh.
Um, and yeah, it was really cool. And then last year, so I've got what I actually do, like what kind of is, I guess, the bulk at the moment of my musical like career is I do arrangement commissions for like vocalists on YouTube and Spotify and stuff.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
there's like cover vocalists, and they'll be like, "Oh, we need an instrumental made for this cover I want to do," and I'll learn it and then record the instrumental, and they can sing over it. And if they want me to mix it, then I will. If they want to mix it, then they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the one of the people that kind of manages one of the vocalists I work for now also kind of manages me as well, and we're also really good friends. He's also from Scotland, but lives in California now. Um, and I went last year to LA to Anime Expo,
Yeah. Cool.
2019, for like a week and a half or something. I was there. It was really, yeah, it was amazing.
Dude, nice.
And yeah, met up with a bunch of the people that I've like worked with and knew and stuff, and it was a real good time.
That's
And
awesome, man.
other than that, that's the only times I've been to the US.
So, do you make? Are you able to make like a full-time living from the arrangements?
Um, yeah, almost.
That's
There's
nice.
because I'm fortunate enough that a couple of the people I work with get like serious traffic on their Spotify and YouTube. Like one of the singers I work with has like 650,000 subscribers,
Oh,
um,
that's awesome.
and like a similar kind of like decent enough crossover to Spotify that she gets similar kind of listeners there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like supplementing that with working with a bunch of other people, and then doing kind of other non-music related like little part-time things on the side kind of all adds up to being able to at least work from home, um, and have like proper time to do the music that I also just want to do for myself. um,
It's wonderful.
um, which is something I wanted when I was in high school. and was like, well, that would be amazing, but I have no idea how that will ever be a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's, like, at the same time, I was like, well, I quite like chemistry and I'm okay at it. And if I get a job in that, it's probably a lot more stable. So I'll go to university and do chemistry, which was good. And I did enjoy it. It's really hard
Oh
work. I
yeah.
found it, but um, and then the music stuff started kind of picking up a bit. I was like, oh, actually, this could become kind of a real thing that I do,
Nice. I
which
love
is
that. That's awesome.
insane. So yeah, it can make uh, like yeah. At the moment, I think for a while I could do it as my like full time kind of position.
That's
But
awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that.
like really fortunate to be in that position. But
Yes, man. Man, I'm gonna let me hook you up with my brother real quick because he's been wanting to do arrangements for people. So
oh yeah, cool.
yeah. I would you mind if I kind of connected you two? Would that be okay?
Yeah, yeah, right, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'd
definitely
love yeah, I'd love to see what you think, especially of like feedback from our some of our other music and what he's done. I would love to see what you think. You know,
yeah,
just
that'd be really
feedback.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Because it's like that's basically it's like I'm just trying to make enough money so I can just make more music. You know what I mean?
basically, yeah, that's the goal. Like, yeah,
That's the goal.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's the because like right now my full-time gig is just website design and
Mhm.
website building. Um,
I mean, that's a pretty cool job in itself. Like, I think anyway.
It is, and I do love it so much, uh, and that's where my love for lo-fi was born because I was like just developing websites, and I would put on lo-fi, and it would just
Yeah,
help me focus, and it also helped me feel like that feeling when you're watching anime and it's like you just escape into that world,
yeah,
it's just
you
it
just get totally
allows
immersed.
yeah, it allows you for total immersion. And then it feels like when you listen to lo-fi, you can kind of bring some of that, like you can almost stay like immersed in that anime vibe,
Mm.
even while you're working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know
So
exactly what you mean.
exact. So that's kind of what it was born out of, and it's yeah, I'm super grateful for it. The other thing I was going to ask is how do you um how is Scotland, man? I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I've heard amazing things. It's like a gorgeous country. But
It is that, yeah.
what's it like? What's it like living over there?
So I love it. Um, so I grew up like actually in the south of England for like the first 10, 11 years of my life. But we always went on holiday to like right at the top of Scotland, the coast there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a totally different world basically. Um, and then now I live in the biggest city in Scotland. Um, and yeah, I
And
really,
what's the name of that? I'm sorry. What's the name of the
it's
city?
in Glasgow.
Glasgow. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome.
And I really enjoy it. Like, there's like obviously right now, can't really experience the city that much,
Yeah.
um, but it's you can drive for like I don't know half an hour in any direction, and you'll see like just some crazy kind of scenery.
Mm.
Like uh, if you've ever watched, oh yeah, so if you've ever watched the Harry Potter films,
Oh.
then when they go on the train to the school, then when the train is going over that bridge, that's semi near where we live. Like it's kind of in the middle of Scotland there.
Oh,
It's like kind
wow.
of huge mountains and big like huge valleys. It's amazing. Like around here, it's a lot flatter because big city, but as soon as you start going a bit north towards where my parents live, um, it's just it's beautiful. And um, yeah, I really love it. And like I do love living in the city, but I'm totally open to kind of moving to somewhere like quieter and just more scenic, um, whenever basically. Like there's so many, there's such like a variety of different kind of areas here. You can like go really snowy mountains or huge valleys and like huge lochs and lakes and stuff. It's great.
Oh, dude, I've only seen pictures, and I believe my drummer in my band, his family is based in Scotland, or he has a lot of
Yeah,
family in Scotland, and some of the pictures he was showing me were just breathtaking. I mean,
yeah,
there really is something gorgeous, and I think like as musicians especially, where it's like there's something about nature, um, and even like bringing your guitar out there, or just even just like there's something about it that can inspire. And
yeah.
have you ever written a song kind of like in the mountains of Scotland?
So where I went to school is like really Highlands, like proper like Scottish countryside, and I I played in a lot of like kind of traditional like folk bands as like an accompanying guitarist.
Oh, wonderful.
Um, and so I've never actually written one kind of based on the area, but I've played a lot of the traditional Scottish music.
Mm.
Um, when a lot of that is written about, I don't know, a certain mountain or a certain kind of valley. Um, and
That's so cool.
yeah, yeah, it's really good. Um, but I haven't yet written one about kind of the area, but there's always time.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Do you now, and please excuse my ignorance, but is there what is the like is there a different type of language in or dialect in Scotland, or is it all based in English, or you know?
So there's different dialects for sure. Like, and my accent is, or I consider it like a quite an English accent. Um, uh, but yeah, there's a kind of older Scottish Irish language called Gaelic,
Yeah.
which is still spoken by a lot of people still, and like a lot of the as you get further north, a lot of the signs for like road signs will have the English and the Gaelic language on the signs. And yeah, there's so many different dialects, like which is the same in England actually. Like England has 50 different dialects or something. But yeah, you can go like if we're in Glasgow and you drive like an hour to the east and you get to Edinburgh, and the accents and uh, the kind of words for the same thing can be totally different. And yeah, it's really cool.
That's
Like
awesome.
I love that kind of diversity.
Yeah, totally. Do you, not to put you on the spot, but do you speak any Gaelic, or are you?
I can uh I can't speak any because yeah. Like I can, there's like a few words that I know, and I uh but I was never taught it in school, so like you can be taught in it totally in English or totally in Gaelic in school.
Mm.
And I was in the English stream, so I can't actually speak any. But I can read. There's some I can read. Um, but yeah,
Well, I think it's very similar to like us in Texas for Spanish. you know.
Oh yeah.
Because like Spanish is basically the second native language here in Texas. We're right next to Mexico, and I'm Mexican, and my family's Mexican, and so it's like we definitely have Spanish speaking all over the place. But you don't have to. It's good to know Spanish, especially if you live in San Antonio.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but it's not like a required thing, and you don't need it to necessarily. You don't need to actually like get by in terms of
Yeah.
like
Sure.
data. That's kind of, I was like, but it isn't. That's why I wanted to ask, because it's interesting. Because some places you have to know English. You also have to know a different
Yeah, for
language.
sure.
So, and I also love all types of different cultures. So it's like it fascinates me, especially Scotland, because I've heard so many amazing things about it. Um, and so you're close to getting your PhD. You're almost done.
Almost done. Yeah, I've actually got my. So I submitted uh, my like thesis 2 weeks
Wow.
ago or 3 weeks ago, and I have my final like exam, which is like a kind of someone asks you questions on the work you've done.
Oh, okay.
I've got that coming up,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, and then after that it will be basically done. There'll be like some admin things I need to do afterwards, but that'll be me out of university, and I've been there for 9 years, which is mad.
Yeah, that's
Um,
insane, man. I commend you. That's
Thanks. Yeah.
very difficult to do. Are you gonna require everyone to call you Dr. Cooper from now on?
I mean, I could do that if I really wanted to. So I could also be I could be Doctor Fury, just Lester Fury as well, which would be
Oh, what? That's
cool. Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
What's your thesis on? If Do you think I could understand the the
Yeah,
premise?
there's like it's basically on uh, finding finding out more about one of the more common reactions that is used to make various different agrochemicals or pharmaceuticals. It's like taking one of the fundamental reactions that's involved in that and learning more about it so that it can be done more efficiently or like more environmentally friendly or greener kind of stuff. It's like a really specific, like you kind of spend 4 years doing just like this really tiny area of chemistry and like learning all you can about it,
Well,
and then leaving a big like 200-page book behind so that someone else can read it and carry on. Is basically how science goes.
damn. All the while you're building the Zelda wave following, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
Doing my best to.
so are you going to right out the gate? Because it sounds like you're okay with if chemistry, like if uh you know because like if you like let's just I'm gonna say like Midnas Lament, like everything like kind of blows up more, you're kind of okay with not doing chemistry for the rest of your life.
Yeah, like I have put a big chunk of my life into it, but at the same time, like I would really regret it if I didn't try to just go all in on the music stuff. Like you've got to kind of, it sounds really cheesy, but you've got to kind of take that opportunity or chance if you get it.
Yeah.
Um, and because like not everyone gets them, and so to like not take it is kind of like you're kind of like squandering it a bit. I feel like so if I didn't like go for it, I'd definitely regret it and feel like, oh well, someone else could have had that opportunity and taken it, and it wouldn't have made a difference to me because I'm still doing this. But um, yeah,
I
like yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was like, I love that. I mean, I'm the same way. It's like, because I feel like some people may not understand, but because one, it's like it's hard enough to kind of get the confidence to even just do like a full-time not normal thing, you know, like you're, because it's like you're making money just from you know, like arrangements and like different jobs, like in an entrepreneur freelancing style, and that scares the crap out of people just out the
Yeah.
gate, just doing that. And then, but it's like, I mean, have you found that, I know it's a little cliche, but have you found that like when you take risks like that, that they do truly pay off a lot more? Even though it's like, you know, obviously we have so much more room for failure,
Yeah.
but you could still, even, you know, a lot of people don't realize that you could still fail. Like you could work 15 years at a job and they can fire you. Like, you know, that still happens, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think, yeah, like the risk is greater, but then it's that's that whole risk reward type thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the risk is greater, but then the reward is like doing something you properly love for as long as you can.
Yeah.
And then I feel like because of the way I've got to this point, I'll have I'll have a like a doctorate as well. So if for
Yeah,
whatever
totally.
reason the music doesn't work out, then I can do chemistry and it will still be fine. like, so the risk is there, but it's more of like a personal risk because like it would like feel really bad, but then I could be like, well, I do have this thing that I can actually get like a proper job with.
Right.
So it wouldn't be like life ruining, um, which is again like a fortunate kind of position to be in. But
Totally. Yeah, and have you ever heard? I know this is kind of a change of subject, but I mean, I do really love, you know, I love science. I love astrophysics, physics, and I love learning about it conceptually because I don't understand the physics portion of it. I've tried. I'm trying. You know.
physics is still like alien to me as well. Like,
All right.
like
Yeah, because uh, I was learning about, I don't know if you've ever heard about the case against reality.
oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Donald Hoffman, I believe.
yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know a whole lot about it, but I've definitely heard the name.
yes, it's like that. I'm gonna butcher it, but you know, it's like the whole Schrodinger's cat. He kind of has like a really interesting explanation for Schrodinger's cat and how evolution is wrong, which is just absolutely insane to me, and
Yeah,
and gravitational, and like Newton's laws of physics, all of it is, and Einstein's equations are all just wrong, which just blow my mind, and the way he explains how they're wrong is just even crazier, and it's like the Matrix is reality, and the, you know,
oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever have you kind of like looked into him at all?
I actually haven't. I've just heard of it, maybe on Twitter somewhere, but I've never like gone out of my way to investigate it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I would love to
Yeah,
see what you think, man.
yeah, I'll have a look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and one of the last things that I wanted to ask was what are your top three favorite video games of all time?
Ooh, that's really tricky. um, I'd have to put Ocarina of Time in there somewhere
Of
because
course.
that like it's such like a safe answer because a load of people I think have that game in their top three, but it's I just find it that good. Like there was a period of time where I would play through it like once a year. I'm like,
Wow.
well, this is time for my annual playthrough of this. But, so that would definitely be there. A more recent one would be Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
Probably the first one, just because that's the first one of them I played, and I got into them really late. Like, I think the first one came out in like 2011, and I played it for the first time in 2017 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
And it was from my friend who loves that series. They played like all three Dark Souls. They played Bloodborne, and he'd always tried to get me into it. And I only knew about it from like the memes, like the get good memes, and I was like, it sounds really hard and not that fun. He was like, trust me, you'll really like it. And I started playing it, and I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, why haven't I been playing this the whole time?
Oh my gosh. No, that's that quick segue into that. Like, why did you feel that way? Because that's how I look at it. As like, I already get tilted pretty easily with games, you know. So it's like, why would I want to just be a masochist and do that even more to myself?
I mean, that it's 100% valid. Because I think like I really enjoy just like fantasy settings in general, so that already appeals to me. And then kind of I like it's really difficult, but at the same time, in a weird way, I like knowing why, like why I died at that point. And more in some of the newer games, it's easy to see, like, because like hitboxes and stuff are better. So it's like, oh well, I made that mistake there. That's why I was immediately killed. And so you kind of like, it is at times, it is like just a grind where you're like, oh, do I really want to play this right now? But then when you do beat that one thing, you just feel like, oh wow, I'm actually amazing at everything ever. It's just that, like, I don't know, there's something about it. And kind of the first one, especially, like the atmosphere that game gives me is like, most RPGs and stuff now have like a quest marker or someone telling you what to do a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like kind of nice to have one where it's just, the game kind of tells you at the beginning, it's like you are like the only one and everything is trying to kill you and you're not really sure why. And it's kind of, the whole game also has this weird like kind of blurry filter on it, so stuff really far away is blurry but still quite bright, but it's like a muted brightness. And something about that is that atmosphere makes me like, it's really like isolating and weird in an oddly enjoyable way. I don't know why. But, and then the music for those games is great as well. Yeah, I got really into it, and I've now played all three Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and I have that the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice as well that I've yet to play. But yeah, I just got really into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and what would be the third? Because there's 1, 2, 3.
No, it's tricky. I would say it would have to be a tie, I think, between Pokemon Crystal. Absolutely love that game.
Yes, that's awesome.
Or Warcraft 3. Oh no, actually no. What I'm talking about? No. Baldur's Gate.
Bowser's Gate.
Yeah, it's like an isometric RPG based in the Dungeons and Dragons world, and you like, all the kind of damage and everything, and like whether you're going to hit something is all based on dice rolls, that like it would be in Dungeons and Dragons. And me and my friend, my best friend from school, we kind of play through the first game, and then you can export that character from the first game into the second game and carry on the story with that same person.
Huh.
And the second game is actually where my artist name comes from, which is, and makes it even more absurd why I forgot to put that in my list. Is so Celestial Fury is it's like a really powerful sword you get in the game, which I thought sounded really cool. It's got a really good name and already sounds kind of metal. So it kind of goes along with the music. Yeah, Baldur's Gate. I'd have to say Baldur's Gate 2. I think that's the best one. That's going to take top spot, I think.
There you go.
And then Ocarina of Time for second spot, and Dark Souls 1 for the third spot.
It's awesome.
That's my top 3.
So what do you think? What are some of your favorites? Who are some of your favorite guitarists? Like top 3 guitarists?
Okay, yeah. So,
because I don't know if you could see Stevie Ray Vaughan right there.
I can indeed see him. I was admiring that poster. Yeah, it's a very good choice.
Oh, thank you.
I would say got to have the guitarist from Meshuggah, Frederick Thorndahl, because they're the band that got me into anything extended range, like 7 strings and 8 strings. Because I started with 6-string electric, and was playing a lot of that, playing a lot of Trivium and in Flames and stuff. And then I heard Meshuggah and was like, well, this doesn't sound anything like anything else that I've heard. And I found out they were using 8-string guitars, and I thought at the time it must have been like 2010, I think, and I thought that was insane, and that got me into the whole kind of modern metalcore sound. So I'd have to say Frederick Thorndahl from Meshuggah.
Very cool.
Guitarist from Opeth, Michael Ackerfeld. They're the first metal band that I myself properly got into. Like my brother was really into, well, still is really into Iron Maiden and Metallica.
Oh, right on.
And he'd have bought those CDs, and then we'd be playing games in his room, and he'd put those on. And I remember hearing them like, oh, that's really cool, actually. Because before then I was kind of into the kind of the more like mellow rock stuff like Muse or Gorillaz. And then he would put those on. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. But then he brought home the album Still Life by Opeth, and put that on. And that was the first time I'd heard the screamy, like growly vocals that's in metal. And again, I was like, I've never heard this. What does this mean? And it was great. And so that's kind of what got me into playing guitar in the first place. So Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth. And
nice.
Then
very cool.
Who else would be there? I'm trying not to pick 3 metal guitarists. Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I'm just kidding. No.
He could be.
No.
Try not to pick like 3 metal ones. There must be one that I can think of that's not metal. Although, no, I'd have to say then either Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders is insane, or Misha from Periphery, because they're again, like, he started just like recording stuff in his bedroom and putting it up on the internet, and then now is the main or one of the 3 guitarists in Periphery.
What do you what do you think of Tim Henson? Have you heard?
Oh, from a Polyphia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they are unbelievable. So I saw them play at there's a festival here called Arctangent, um, and I saw them last year, and they sound just like they do on like on the records, and it's like, how are they that? How can you play that tight? Like, um, yeah, he's on another level. Um, like I don't know how you can just keep up if your brain is thinking of composing that many notes at the same time. I don't know how you can keep up with it. I can't do it at all.
So, well, where would you say you are in terms of, yeah? Because I'm sometimes when I see him, I'm like, I guess I don't know if I don't know how if I'm ever gonna get there, but like, cause like when I see Stevie Ray Vaughan, I'm like, I feel like I can get there, you know.
Mm.
But even with Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's pretty insane with a lot of things he did. Um,
Yeah.
but Tim Henson, there's also like a line of like I'm nothing against prog rock, but you know, it's like I don't really want to be a guitarist. I want to be able to connect with an audience, you know, outside of just the guitar community. Even though I love the guitar community, you know, kind of like Tim, you know, he's been able to kind of transcend even genres, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I really like him too. Is he's an amazing marketer. He's able to transcend genres. He's not just a guitarist, kind of like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai. It's like
Yeah.
they're kind of like stuck in this small world, you know, where people love them, but it's like they can't break out, you know, a bit.
Yeah. Like I think when Polyphia, because Polyphia started out and it was kind of like the kind of classic genty metalcore sound,
Right.
and then they made that song Goat, and that's when it's like they like they were quite big in like the guitar scene before that, but then now I've like heard people talk about Polyphia, who are people that I know don't like metal or have never really listened to metal. They're like, oh yeah, Polyphia are amazing. I'm like, oh. And since they made that song Goat, it's like exploded them out to kind of a wider fan base, which is really cool.
Yes.
But like I agree with you, like I would it would be sick to be able to play like that. But it's not something that I really want to work towards that much. Because yeah, I always write music more about what it feels like, more compared to like, um can I do this bit really fast? I mean, there's nothing wrong with going really fast. Like I love going really fast if I can. And it's really fun to write technical riffs, but going into a song and saying, right, I'm gonna make this bit really technical and it will sound really impressive. I always try and kind of avoid that. And like, but if that is how someone writes, then that's great as well. There's nothing wrong with it, obviously, but it's just not how I kind of
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, like I feel like well, that's the other thing is that it's genuine when Tim does it. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
that's just what comes out of that guy, you
Yeah,
know. You know, he's not doing it to be pretentious. He's doing it because he can.
yeah, he can, and he likes the sound that he's making, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah, sounds dope.
Yeah,
And that's the other thing is like, dude, he's found a way to get it to where uh metal is almost touching like hard rap. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
With like a boom bap style, and
Yeah,
he's kind of meeting them somewhere, you know. And
yeah, they do proper like melding of genres.
mm-hmm. And I find that like super exhilarating. I'm like, dude, yes, the community, the guitar community needs this. You know, we need this fresh blood. You know, to where we can. Because honestly, I have been hearing amazing guitar solos kind of coming out of some rap songs, more than indie and rock right now, which is
Yeah,
just kind of, I'm like, what do we do? What's reality? What, you know what I'm saying? Because like
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, like Tim was on a couple of 21 Savage songs, I think, or
I think that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
And he just did like a few really amazing solos, and it's kind of getting people into guitar, but it's like it's the rap community, and even rappers really love like that rock guitar thing. And I'm like, we need to embrace that as a community. And
yeah.
I feel like some people are kind of like trying to pull away from it, or something, like, because I don't know what you think right now, but like that's what I want to ask you is like, I feel like, especially with rock, um, a lot of the guitar community has, it's well, like the influence that guitar is having right now is a lot different than it was 10, 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Like, um, I think it goes hand in hand with like how accessible recording your own stuff is now. So like guitarists, um, I think guitar has always been one of the instruments that's like kind of easier to just pick up and play. Like, I know, I think I don't know anyone who can't play something on guitar. Like most people my age who I meet can like pick up a guitar and like they have a song or a bit of a song, they can be like, oh yeah, I know how this bit goes. And even if they can't like play guitar, but they can play a thing on a guitar. Um, and so I think that's always been kind of a thing. But then now, because so many people are just recording stuff in their home and then sharing it online on Facebook and YouTube and everything, people are now looking at that and be like, oh yeah, I could do that as well. If that person can play like that, and they're not like I don't know, they're not like Steve Vai. It's almost a bit more accessible. It's like, oh, maybe I could get to that point. So yeah, loads more people are just kind of picking up and playing, and especially this year, like people are mostly kind of stuck inside, and it's like, well, maybe I don't know, learn an instrument or learn something creative. And guitar has like always been, I don't know, I feel like it's always been one of the more accessible instruments.
Totally. I guess I'm just kind of, I feel like guitar and rock music has gone down a lot, and even metal, I feel like has really kind of stepped out of the mainstream dramatically compared to where it used to be. And I feel like it's a little sad in many ways. And also, so I'm always looking for guitar to come back in some way. That's why I love Tim, because I'm like, you may not like him for what some things, but he's at least like really pushing guitar into new territory, and he's like
Yeah.
one of the only guys, because I've honestly stopped listening to metal because it started feeling like I was hearing the same shit over and over and regurgitated because like there was a time where it was like, whoa, this is, we're doing something different here, like Slipknot, In Flames, and then Meshuggah, and then um I mean, there's a ton, but and Kill Switch Engage and Periphery, which is I think one of the more recent ones that I will like. Periphery and um, Polyphia and Animals as Leaders. They're probably the only ones that I really will like give a lot of time to like really listen. Um, and even Slipknot, their new album was actually pretty dope. I was,
Yeah, that's actually really good.
yeah, I was like, okay, here we go, we're moving. But it's like, it's just not, it's not what it used to be at all, and I wish Five Finger Death Punch would have never stopped screaming. Why did they stop doing
Yeah.
that? I don't know. What are your thoughts on like the metal scene currently, and what are your thoughts about the trajectory of guitar music?
So I'm kind of the same kind of opinion there are, it's great that there's so many people doing metal, and it's awesome. But what comes from that is because so many of these people are in the same kind of communities, they do end up making music that does just kind of sound like what's already been done, which I am guilty of as well. Like a lot of my stuff, I can clearly pick out the influences where I've got it from. But like creating something totally original is something that's only a few people are ever really going to be able to do. But like, because it's particularly in the kind of periphery Meshuggah scene, there are a lot of bands where you can, if I ever put on like a Spotify like mix, there's a couple of times where I'll be listening to it and I'll think, oh, this sounds exactly like this band. I didn't know they did this song. And then I'll look at it and it's a totally different band. I'm like, well, they kind of just sound quite a lot like that. But I think at the same time, there are enough artists kind of pushing the boundaries to kind of move it forward in what I think it is a positive direction. Like, because like if you look at Periphery or Meshuggah, the albums they're doing now sound nothing like the albums they started doing.
Yeah.
Which is always great. Well, I think it's great, and I'm sure the bands themselves think it's great. A lot of people, you'll see a lot of kind of comments being like, "Oh, you used to sound like this. You should carry on doing this sound." It's like, well, that's kind of not the point. A lot of the time, you want to like explore new stuff. But
well, that's sorry to interject real quick, because that's kind of, I think, also the problem with rock and metal is that, you know, you think old heads for rap are bad, like old heads for metal and rock, like the community really, really restricts the newness, or even anybody trying to break out. They're like, why don't you just like sound like the old shit because it's so much better? I'm like, well, how do you expect anyone to even want to take the risk if we're just going to shun them as soon as they try? You know?
That's exactly it. Like,
and that's and it's so frustrating because it's like, because I think there's this awesome video I was watching of somebody kind of breaking down like why rock is dead or something like that. But they were also, and I think a big part of it was the community, but it's like the like rap and hip hop, they openly talk about how they love money. They openly talk about like it's okay to make profit, it's okay to like collaborate, it's okay to be bigger. Whereas like the rock and metal scene, it's like if people get a hint of that, they automatically call them like a sellout, you know?
There is that. There's that. It's that whole like, if you're not, the kind of thing where it's like, if you're not doing it just for the love of the music, then you're like fake or whatever.
Right.
It's like, well, people do love making the music, but they also like eating and being able to live in a place. And it's kind of needs. So if there is an opportunity to do a collaboration that, like, there'll be plenty of collaborations that I'm sure are purely done for the clout or whatever. But I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But if there'll be a lot more collaborations where it is like, well, this person actually does sound really fun to work with, and they just want to make something that doesn't necessarily sound like them, because people, if they did it themselves, then people would complain like, this doesn't sound like you. But if they do it as a collaboration, then they're exploring something completely new anyway, and kind of progressing that way. So I think you do see a lot of kind of the rock and metal scene saying, oh, these people sold out because they did this. And it's like, well, maybe they actually just wanted to do that.
But you know what? It's like, even if they did, it's like, even if they did it specifically for money or just to move up, I'm not really I don't really want to, one, because I'm like I've if you ever try to actually be successful as an artist or as a musician, you'll soon recognize how extraordinarily difficult it is. And it's like, it's so, to knock people for that, especially, it's like when it's so insanely hard just to even make a living out of it, it's kind of like, I feel like, people should maybe really give it a try, maybe not be so quick to shun that part of the community.
Yeah, because
So
they're like the metal community is like meant to be this open-minded community, but then a lot of the time that open-mindedness just vanishes if there's something that they think is even slightly wrong.
yeah,
And yeah, I always find that kind of weird, but
exactly, man. Well, I had an amazing time talking with you.
oh, yeah, me too, man. Thanks. It was really, I've never done a podcast or anything before, so this was kind of just a fun experience, and thanks a lot for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I know it's a little late over there for you, so that's why I thought it'd be good for us to kind of cap off the evening for you.
Ah, it's all right. Cheers.
And so I appreciate your flexibility with your schedule and everything.
Oh, no worries. Yeah,
And
it's my pleasure.
I can't wait. I'm gonna I'm gonna link your album, the new release of your album, in this description and everything. Um, and I'll also, like, shout you out everywhere um, I can. And then I'm gonna listen to the album myself. I'm gonna go for a run. Actually, I'll just put it on while I'm running.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
I'd be
Nice.
like Zelda and metal. I'm like, yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So it's gonna be really cool. Um, yeah, man. So it's great. It was great talking with you. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next. And let's talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always down to just have a chat.
Awesome. Awesome, man. All right. Well,
Cool.
I'm sign off, and yeah, it's great having you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll catch you later.
All right. See ya.